keep things civil, but now hidden tensions are exploding into the spotlight. What could Carole have said that caused such an uproar? Tune in as we uncover the words that left the palace reeling and made the Queen flee the country in the middle of the night. When tradition clashes with change, Carole Middleton and Queen Camilla didn't always appear to be at odds. For years, the two women presented a united front at royal events, exchanging smiles and pleasantries for the cameras. But beneath the surface, cracks had already begun to show. Insiders suggest the tension started brewing when Kate Middleton first entered the royal family. Carole, fiercely protective of her daughter, worked hard to ensure Kate's acceptance within the firm. Camilla, on the other hand, reportedly held a more traditional view of what a future queen consort should represent. Kate's middle-class roots, a point of pride for some, seemed to be a sticking point for Camilla, whose upbringing in the upper echelons of British society shaped her perspective on royal decorum. Before we dive deeper, it's clear that Carole Middleton's revelation cuts deeper than anyone could have anticipated, and this won't be the last truth to shake the royal family. As the wedding of Prince William and Kate Middleton approached, the relationship between Kate's mother and Camilla became increasingly strained. Subtle remarks reportedly made their way into conversations, jabs about social status, whispers about Kate's suitability as a future queen. Camilla's polished exterior masked what Kate's mother allegedly felt was a condescending attitude, one that slowly but surely built a wall between the two women. Determined to keep her cool, she stayed silent, refusing to give in to the provocations. Yet, the tension only grew with each royal gathering, adding fuel to the simmering fire. By the time William's children arrived, the rift between the two women had become impossible to ignore. Camilla's attempts to influence her daughter-in-law's role as a royal wife reportedly didn't sit well with the younger woman's mother. Sources close to the Middleton family describe how she felt sidelined, her efforts to support her daughter seemingly overshadowed by Camilla's growing influence. It wasn't just about titles or status, it was about family dynamics and the unspoken power struggles that played out behind palace doors. The final blow reportedly came during a private family meeting where Camilla allegedly made a series of comments that the other woman could no longer overlook. According to insiders, these remarks not only questioned her role within the family but also undermined her relationship with her daughter. This was the moment she decided to act. She wasn't just protecting her own dignity, she was standing up for her daughter, who, despite her poised public image, was said to have felt the weight of Camilla's subtle critiques over the years. When her statement finally went public, it sent shockwaves through royal circles. While she didn't name names outright, her words carried a clear message: she was tired of being pushed aside, and she wouldn't remain silent any longer. Her revelation hinted at years of disrespect and manipulation, painting a picture of a royal family far more divided than anyone had imagined. Her courage to speak out was seen by some as a direct challenge to Camilla's authority, shaking the carefully balanced dynamics of the monarchy. Palace insiders scrambled to manage the fallout. The royal family is known for its never complain, never explain mantra, but this time, silence seemed insufficient. Public opinion was sharply divided. Some sided with the younger woman's mother, praising her bravery and standing up against what they perceived as Camilla's elitist attitude. Others criticized her for airing the family's dirty laundry, arguing that such matters should remain private. Either way, the damage had been done, and the monarchy's veneer of unity had taken a significant hit. Reports began to surface about the years of subtle power plays that had characterized the relationship between the two women, from being excluded from certain royal events to whispers of disapproval about family choices. The narrative painted a picture of two strong-willed women vying for influence in a family that thrives on hierarchy. The younger woman's mother, with her hands-on approach and unwavering support for her daughter, clashed with Camilla's more traditional and sometimes aloof demeanor. It was a power struggle that had been building for years, with both women fighting to carve out their place in the royal landscape. The media frenzy surrounding the statement only added fuel to the fire. Headlines speculated about what this feud meant for William's future roles. Would the tension between their families impact their ability to present a united front as the next generation of royal leaders? And what about the rest of the royal family? Were they taking sides in this very public disagreement, or were they simply trying to keep the peace? Carole's words shook the palace, but the clash between old traditions and new ideas was far from over. A monarch at the crossroads. As the dust began to settle, one thing became clear: this wasn't just a personal feud, it was a reflection of the challenges the monarchy faces in balancing tradition with modernity. The middle-class background of the younger woman's mother and her rise to prominence through hard work and determination symbolized the changing face of Britain, a nation where social mobility and meritocracy are celebrated. Camilla, by contrast, represents the old guard, a world of aristocratic privilege and rigid expectations. Their conflict, though deeply personal, is also emblematic of a larger cultural shift within the royal family and the society it represents. In the weeks that followed, both women seemed to retreat from the public eye, leaving royal watchers to speculate about the long-term implications of their feud. Would this rift ever truly heal, or would it continue to simmer beneath the surface, shaping the dynamic of the royal family for years to come? For now, the answers remain unclear, but one thing is certain: the monarchy's ability to adapt to modern expectations is being tested like never before. The air in the room felt heavy, almost oppressive, as the mother's words echoed around it. It wasn't just an accusation, it was a declaration, a spotlight shining on what she claimed was Queen Camilla's carefully hidden schemes. She wasn't one to mince words, and her tone left no room for doubt. She alleged that Camilla's climb to the throne wasn't just ambitious but ruthless. The sheer audacity of the accusations left everyone stunned. Their silence was almost as loud as her claims. She painted a vivid picture of manipulation and strategy, of a woman who knew how to pull strings behind closed doors. According to her, Camilla treated people like pieces on a chessboard, moving them to suit her grand plan. Every decision, every move, every whispered conversation, she suggested it was all part of Camilla's rise. As she spoke, the room seemed darker, the tension thicker, as if the very walls were absorbing her words. Her speech wasn't just a critique, it was an outright dismantling of a carefully constructed royal facade. She alleged that behind Camilla's composed public image lay a history of cold calculations and whispered betrayals. The room, once filled with the quiet dignity of royal decorum, was now alive with an undercurrent of shock and unease. The royal family, icons of stability and tradition, suddenly seemed fragile, their legacy on shaky ground. And she wasn't done. She revealed what she claimed to be the crown jewel of her revelations, a hidden past Camilla had allegedly spent years concealing. The specifics were damning: financial scandals involving embezzlement, tax evasion, and money laundering. These weren't just minor indiscretions, they were the kind of accusations that could topple governments, let alone a royal reputation. Camilla, usually the picture of composure, visibly faltered. Her pale face betrayed her shock. For a moment, the Queen Consort seemed lost, her carefully crafted armor cracked by the weight of these claims. The palace itself felt different now, less like a symbol of unshakable tradition and more like a house of cards ready to tumble. Kate's mother stood unwavering, her eyes locking onto Camilla's with a piercing intensity. It wasn't just personal, it was a battle for control, for legitimacy, and perhaps for justice. The allegations left the royal family scrambling to contain the fallout. Their silence only fueled the storm. This wasn't the first time the British monarchy had faced scandal, but these claims felt different. They weren't just whispers or tabloid fodder, they were precise, cutting, and public. The monarchy, with its centuries-old traditions, had weathered storms before: marriages broken by duty, abdications that shook the empire, and public missteps had all been woven into its history. Yet this felt more personal, more dangerous. Carole's accusations brought to mind other moments when the royal family's carefully maintained image had slipped, from Edward VII's abdication to Wallace Simpson to Princess Margaret's turbulent marriage to Anthony Armstrong-Jones. The monarchy had long been marked by internal tension. These stories of betrayal and power struggles weren't new, but they had usually been confined to hushed whispers within palace walls. As the royal family struggled to stay united, Carole's claims revealed deeper fights that had been hidden for years, the family rift that shook the palace. What made this different was Carole herself. As the mother of the future Queen Consort, she occupied a unique position, both an insider and an outsider. She knew the game, but she wasn't bound by the same rules, and she had made it clear she wasn't afraid to play. The tension between Carole and the royal family had been brewing for years, long before this public showdown. It had started subtly with small power plays and quiet jabs. Carole, fiercely protective of her daughter Kate, had often clashed with other senior royals over matters of influence and tradition. Her involvement was sometimes seen as an overstep by those deeply embedded in palace politics. The battle of wills between Carole and others within the royal circle became a defining dynamic, with both sides determined to assert their position. One flashpoint had been the planning of Kate and William's wedding. Carole had wanted to ensure her daughter's day was perfect, but her involvement was interpreted as meddling by some. Tensions flared at a pre-wedding reception, with Carole feeling dismissed and her influence challenged. It was a moment that set the tone for her relationship with the palace, a simmering rivalry that only grew over time. As tensions deepened, it became clear that the conflict wasn't just about personal grievances, it reflected larger issues within the monarchy. Tradition clashed with modernity, and personal ambition collided with public expectation. Now, with Carole's accusations laid bare, the fallout threatened to engulf the entire royal family. Reputations were under scrutiny, and the monarchy itself seemed vulnerable, its stability shaken amid the chaos. Carole stood firm, her words had lit a fire that couldn't be easily extinguished. She had forced the public and the palace to confront uncomfortable truths. Whether her claims would hold up under scrutiny remained to be seen, but their impact was undeniable. The British monarchy, long a symbol of resilience and continuity, now faced a new challenge. It wasn't just about defending individual members of the family, it was about preserving an institution that had weathered centuries of change. The stakes were high, and the consequences uncertain, but one thing was clear: Carole's words had changed the game, and the monarchy would never be the same. As years slipped by, the tension between Carole and the royal household didn't fade. If anything, it grew sharper with every encounter, adding fuel to the fire. These dynamics, shaped by power and influence, left no room for peace. Then, just when it seemed like their rivalries had reached their peak, something emerged, something so shocking it threatened to tear apart the fragile balance within the palace walls. A revelation was coming, and when it did, there would be no going back. The world of one senior royal began to unravel with the bombshell revelation about their past. For years, they had built a polished image as a dignified member of the royal family, but beneath the surface lay buried truths that couldn't stay hidden forever. When these facts finally saw the light, they sent shock waves through the palace. The individual was stunned at first, frozen in disbelief, their mind racing to process what was happening. The weight of their actions bore down, threatening to crush everything they had worked so hard to build. However, shock soon gave way to anger. Their face twisted in fury as they lashed out at everyone around them, refusing to take responsibility. They blamed others for exposing their past. Rage boiled over, and forgiveness seemed out of reach. But as time passed, anger turned into despair. They began to grasp the gravity of the situation. Their carefully crafted image was destroyed, and they knew they could never step into the public eye again without facing ridicule. Consumed by shame, they became a recluse, shutting themselves off from the world. The walls of their room became their prison, and the ghosts of their past tormented them. They saw visions of their mistakes, heard echoes of condemnation in every corner. Their grip on reality weakened, and the mask they had worn for years finally crumbled. The palace staff watched in horror as the once commanding royal descended into a state of paranoia and isolation. Their downfall was complete, not because of the revelations themselves, but because of the web of lies and deceit that had finally caught up to them. With the royal family under pressure, Kate Middleton had to step up and bring some calm to the chaos, a new chapter for the royal family. The royal family's reaction was as dramatic as the revelations. Prince William was livid, his anger directed at the betrayal he felt. He had long struggled with certain family dynamics after his mother Diana's death, but this was something he couldn't forgive. Kate Middleton, his wife, was heartbroken. Despite the underlying tensions, she had tried to build cordial relationships, even seeing certain individuals as mentors. Now Kate felt both betrayed and disillusioned. Prince Charles, the Queen's eldest son, was perhaps the most conflicted. Denial was his initial response. He had always known the past was complicated, but this went beyond anything he had imagined. As the reality of the situation sank in, Charles could no longer shield himself from the consequences. His marriage and his public image took a severe blow. Meanwhile, Queen Elizabeth II was devastated. For a woman who valued loyalty and integrity above all, the revelations were a bitter betrayal. The palace was thrown into chaos as aides scrambled to manage the fallout. In the midst of this storm, Kate Middleton found herself at a crossroads. Once celebrated as the perfect royal wife, she now faced the enormous challenge of helping to stabilize the monarchy. With William by her side, she worked to navigate the chaos that surrounded the palace, but the weight of the revelations and the strain on her family took a visible toll on her. Kate's usual composure began to falter, and the stress showed on her face. Kate's mother, Carole, stepped in as a pillar of strength. Despite her own complicated history with certain royals, Carole offered her unwavering support to her daughter. Together they worked to find a way forward, even as the royal family's future seemed more uncertain than ever. Kate knew that the monarchy's reputation had been deeply damaged. The Queen's health was failing, Charles's reputation was in tatters, and the public's confidence in the royal family was at an all-time low. As the days stretched into weeks, Kate Middleton's resolve only grew stronger. She knew the monarchy faced challenges unlike any it had seen before, and that change was essential for its survival. It was no longer enough to rely on tradition and the old ways of doing things. The royal family needed to become more open, honest, and trustworthy to rebuild the public's faith. Kate made transparency, accountability, and integrity the foundation of her actions, becoming a new symbol of hope for the monarchy. With the Queen's full support, Kate stepped into a larger role, taking on responsibilities that carried great weight. She handled every challenge with grace, even when the pressures of public scrutiny were at their highest. Her ability to stay calm and her unwavering commitment to restoring the monarchy's reputation quickly earned her respect both within the royal family and beyond. People admired her for showing that true strength doesn't come from status but from staying grounded and focused on what truly matters. Kate's actions weren't just about preserving the monarchy but about making it more relatable and aligned with the values of a changing world. Meanwhile, Camilla's story took a very different path. Once a central figure in royal affairs, her influence faded as her past scandals overshadowed everything else. Her name became tied to controversy, and she withdrew from the public eye, leaving the palace behind. Camilla's fall from grace was swift and served as a powerful reminder of how deception and ambition can lead to downfall. What had once seemed like resilience now looked like a cautionary tale, showing how important trust and authenticity are in the public realm. Kate Middleton, on the other hand, emerged as a bright light for the royal family's future. Her rise symbolized a new chapter, one that promised to leave the mistakes of the past behind and build something stronger. Kate understood the importance of adapting to modern times while honoring the royal family's long history. She worked tirelessly to bring fresh purpose to the monarchy, balancing tradition with progress. Her determination inspired many, offering hope that the institution could not only survive but thrive in a changing world. The challenges facing the royal family were immense, and the path ahead was far from smooth. Yet under Kate's leadership, there was a renewed sense of direction and purpose. Her strength gave the monarchy a real chance to rise above its struggles and regain the trust it had lost. Kate's vision for the future wasn't just about preserving the crown, it was about making it meaningful again. The royal family stood at a crossroads, but with Kate leading the way, they had a chance to build something truly lasting, rooted in values of honesty and service. Could Carole Middleton's bombshell reveal deeper cracks within the royal family, or is this just a strategic move to shift power dynamics? Share your thoughts and don't forget to like and subscribe for more.